All right, welcome to the Ohio State of Mind podcast. I'm your host this evening, Josh Keatley. We have a man down and Michael Chen. You're our beloved host. He's out with a back injury, and he has stood me up. Everybody, he has stood me up. But we're gonna move on. I got a very important guest coming on, Brock Vieira, who is a writer on Rams Wire, covering the Los Angeles Rams, and he's also a college football expert and a featured writer and podcaster on Nuts and Bolts Sports Media. So he's going to be joining us a little bit later, but until then, I didn't want to keep everybody waiting because I know that the schedule time was at 7:30, and there's a lot to talk about. Dallan Hayden has left. The spring games come up. I know we got a couple people with some questions in the chat, some people were messaging me, asking me when I'm coming on, and this has all been starting late and all that good stuff. So here I am. Let's go ahead and dive in with the biggest news of the week. Dallan Hayden enters the transfer portal. Now, this is something we all kind of saw coming. I know that Michael and I talk about this on a weekly basis. It's one of the main reasons why I'm upset that Michael's not with me this week because, it's kind of been a running gag where he talks about how many carries Dallan Hayden's going to get, and I always kind of make fun and say he's not going to get those carries because the coaching staff hates him. Now, it was always a joke, right? But obviously that was closer to the truth than we originally thought because he has officially entered the transfer portal. I don't know where to begin on this, guys. If you want to go in the comments and let me know what you want to know specifically about it. But we've been following the Dallan Hayden situation ever so closely. He had two 100-yard rushing games. He had 200-yard rushing games as a true freshman, and then he got a random red shirt as a sophomore. Michael and I talked about that all season long within our chat and our text about how this is kind of odd. They could have used him. Xavier Johnson was seeing time in the backfield, and that just felt like wasted reps. Chip Tranum was a guy that they were moving back and forth from linebacker to running back, and that was the guy that Dallan Hayden looked much better than. Xavier Johnson was a little bit more excusable because Xavier Johnson does have some wiggle. He's got some fun athleticism that I could see why you want to give him the ball, but not an every down back. There were definitely some moments where Dallan Hayden could have produced. Every time Dallan Hayden got the ball, he seemed to produce. He seemed to look really good. I don't really know what the deal was. I don't know if it was a fumbling issue, or if it was, him not pass blocking well, or if he had a bad attitude. He's a very nice kid. He's a very good kid. Every time I've spoken to him, I've had a pleasant experience with him. He doesn't really seem like a head case or anybody that was super cocky. There's been a lot of recruits in the past that have had very strong, for lack of a better term, attitudes. Torrance Gibson kind of comes to mind. But Dallan Hayden wasn't really like that. And he kind of seemed like, even as recently as last week, people were asking him questions about his status. And he reiterated the fact that he was cool with being redshirted last year and sitting out. And it kind of got to the point where, Michael and I were talking like, when is everybody going to back off and stop harassing him? Every time he got in front of the media, it was questions about, are you unhappy? Are you mad? Are you going to transfer? And he kept saying, no. And it kind of got exhausting to listen to. I'm sure it got exhausting for him. And I started to buy in, believing that he was going to be here next year and that he was on the same page as far as the red shirt went last year. That obviously wasn't the fact, right? I guess I shouldn't say that. We don't really. There was obviously more to it, right? The timing of this is weird. If he was upset with the red shirt last year, he should have entered the portal earlier, right? If he was upset with the addition of Quinshon Judkins or the return of Travion Henderson, you would have think that he would have entered the portal during the winter window, and he didn't. So that leads me to believe that something else has made him do that in the spring window. And I don't really know what that could have been. A lot, some people are speculating Tony Alford leaving might have sprung this. I don't know about that though either, because Tony Alford, from everything we've heard, Tony Alford is the main why Dallan Hayden wasn't getting the snaps at the running back position last year. They're acting like Tony Alford was kind of in charge of the running back rotation and played a major role in Dallan Hayden sitting the bench. So I don't really think that would be the situation. So something must have happened. I don't know. Michael and I talked about James Peoples. He's a lot higher in James Peoples than I am. I think James Peoples is a quality back. Do I think running backs of his caliber grow on trees at Ohio State? Okay, maybe that's a little harsh, but Michael's much higher on James Peoples than I am. So maybe that's kind of what we'll talk to Michael about it next week when he's back on the show. Maybe he has heard things that maybe James is getting more reps in practice, and that it was going to, Dallan Hayden was going to get superseded by a younger buck. There's also rumors that Ohio State was reaching out to K'Ron Lynch-Adams, who was the star running back at Massachusetts last year. I don't see James Peoples taking over for Dallan Hayden. I don't see it that's really hard for me to envision the case. James Peoples does not appear to be a running back that is ready for the Big Ten. So him overtaking Dallan Hayden would have been a complete shock to me. The kid from Massachusetts, he rushed for like 1,200 yards. He was a bell cow there, very impressive. But that's also a kid that's going to be going into a 6th year. That he to give you a little bit of his backstory, he was at Rutgers for 2 years, then transferred to Massachusetts for 2 years. Then he was flirting with declaring for the NFL. Or no, he was at Massachusetts for 3 years. I can't remember. This will be his 6th year. And he was flirting with the NFL and the transfer portal, and he was going to come back to Massachusetts. Then he entered the transfer portal. This is a kid. This is an Ohio kid. I have no doubts that Ohio State's interested in him. I have no doubts that Ohio State's probably been interested in him because, with the playoffs being extended, the Big Ten schedule, as tough as it is, having depth at the running back position is going to be critical for Ohio State, especially considering it's very clear based off the coaching hires, Chip Kelly, Tim Drevno, Carlos Loughlin. Obviously, that last one was needed because of the departure of Tony Alford, but they're going to be running the ball more, right? There's going to be an emphasis on running the ball. So the more running backs, the better. I don't think that guy, even picking that guy up, would be a threat to Dallan Hayden. Dallan Hayden was good. We saw him. He was very competitive. He was good. So I don't think that was the issue. I don't know. I don't know if he was waiting for the right, perhaps, NIL number to cross his people's desk or that situation. I don't know. I expected the transfer. I'm okay with the transfer. He's going to be successful no matter where he goes. I really like him. I really don't want to bash his decision. He's been at Ohio State for 2 years, and he saw less and less. He got redshirted last year, and we just talked about a wide receiver and a linebacker getting snaps over him. I'd be mad too. I'd be leaving too. I'm surprised. That's the question, though: is why is he transferring now? Why didn't he do that during the winter window? And I don't know the answer to that. As far as landing spots, there's obviously been some chatter about Ole Miss. That's Lane Kiffin is the portal king. Dallan Hayden is from Tennessee, so Tennessee's been another school that we've been hearing about every offseason, calling down Hayden. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's definitely going to be true now. Everybody's going to pick up the phone to call the former four-star back. There's also been some rumors that he might reunite with Tony Alford at Michigan. I don't know why that would be. I don't know where those rumors are coming from. Again, I don't know why you would go to the coach that, even if he's not solely responsible, he certainly played a role in you not seeing the field. So that, to me, that would be no bueno if I was Dallan Hayden. But hey, I don't know their NIL situation. I don't know if Tony Alford's a smooth talker. Maybe it was Ryan Day. I don't know. That would be interesting. I guess we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out real quick whose fault it was that he wasn't seeing the field. Because if he doesn't follow his coach, then we know it was probably more Tony Alford. And if he does go to Michigan, then we know it's probably Ryan Day or someone along, someone higher up that had to be Ryan Day that decided not to play him. But it's very interesting. I'm not worried about it. I'm not upset. I do think he was going to see an increased role, but Michael and I were going back and forth last week about him. Michael and I asked about him and his share of the load, and we both agreed that with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, those are your guns. Those are your guns. You're going to be throwing the ball just as much as you were last year. So I didn't see a role for him to break out and be an all Big Ten player, right? And I just didn't see that happening. So I don't think it's going to affect this season. Will it affect the future of Ohio State? I don't know. I think that Dallan Hayden was a good running back. I think that wherever he goes, he has All-American, All-Conference potential. So yeah, I think that there's a good chance that he's going to be a better running back next year than what Ohio State has next year. Kind of like a Joe Burrow situation. Obviously, that's not, I don't think Dallan Hayden's going to Heisman or be the first pick in the NFL draft, but I'm just saying I could see that being the case. But it's not going to affect this year. And with the portal the way it is, too, maybe that's not the truth. Maybe Ohio State goes out and gets another Quinshon Judkins at the end of next year. It's such a fluid, weird machine. College football is such a fluid, weird machine now. At Ohio State, they've done a good job of steering the NIL in the right direction. They basically run the show, get whoever they want, whenever they want, all that good stuff. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to watch. Yeah, I mean it's hard. I'm upset about it because I like Dallan Hayden, but at the grand scheme of things, it's hard to be upset about. He just wasn't seeing the field. Whatever reason it was, whether I like him, Michael likes him, or you like him, the dude wasn't seeing the field. Something about him they did not like. He had 200-yard rushing games as a true freshman and never really got another sniff. There's something there. Whether it's right or wrong, it was not going to happen for him. I don't blame him. He stuck it out. God bless him. He stuck it out. This is not what was it, Caleb Brown and Caleb Burton. Both those guys transferred out immediately from Ohio State. It's not a situation like that. He stuck it out. Dallan Hayden stuck it out. Shit, he almost made it through another spring. That's the part that's weird. So, here comes Brock. Oh, thank God, Brock, you're here. I've been rambling by myself for 12 minutes. But here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Brock. I can always count on Brock to answer my texts when I get bailed by my co-host, Michael, and show up. Writer, podcast host, college football expert. Brock, I'm talking about Dallan Hayden. I rambled on a little bit about him. What are your opinions about Dallan Hayden transferring out? Or do you have any?
I mean, not necessarily on him, the player. It's more like this is, I feel like, an example of where this program is going. I think that direction is nowhere.
Oh my God, dude! You're so but time out. Before you keep going, I want you to keep going. Just so you know, Michael, I'm usually the negative one of the show.
Okay.
I was telling everybody Michael's got a back injury. He's out for this week, but he's usually the positive one. I'm the negative one. So this will be a nice refresher for me to have to defend Ohio State. But go on.
Well, I think the reason is because Mike has a newborn less than under a year, so he still has that joy of youthful fatherhood. So I think that's why he's probably so hyped up. But I guess this kind of goes to a larger point, which is this is Ryan Day's prove it or lose it season. I think you can agree with that 100%.
100%.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If you look up Josh Keatley 16 and then type in Ryan Day on Twitter, you're going to see a ridiculous amount of tweets about fire Ryan Day. Ryan Day doesn't deserve the Ohio State job. He's not ready to be a coach of this kind of program. He was gifted something, it's this whole slew. You look at our DMs, every fifth text is, why is Ryan Day, doing this, right? So when you look at a player like Dallan Hayden, right, running back, you expect a guy like that to be kind of the Mullins guy. I can't remember his full name. Mullins guy at Michigan last year. That third string back, maybe come in for certain situations. Let Henderson and Judkins kind of take a majority of the workload and have him as rotation guy, especially since he's a junior, 5'10". He's a guy that you're not going to run every down, but it's going to be a fresh guy that's going to be able to penetrate, especially since we're still kind of in this fog of where the quarterback situation is going to be in terms of what the production level is going to be at. So I'm very surprised that they're having running backs transfer out, considering that I feel like Ohio State's going to go full 1990s and just power O all day of the week. So again, very, very surprising. Doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the Buckeyes in 2024, especially in the prove it year. And hopefully I'm wrong for you and the rest of Buckeyes Nation.
So you said some things I agree with. You said some things I disagree with. Clearly you didn't listen to the first 12 minutes, but so I also said the timing of him leaving is weird, right? But to recap his career, he played a little bit as a true freshman, got redshirt last year. This is a guy that they played Xavier Johnson, who's a wide receiver, over him. Chip Triana, who's a linebacker, running back, over him. Clearly, there was something they didn't like about the guy. Clearly, there was something they didn't like about him. I don't think he was going to see a lot of time this year. You got Quinshawn Judkins, you got Travion Henderson. He was going to be that third back, and I don't know how often that back was really going to play a role, especially knowing that they're probably going to run with the quarterback a little bit more. I agree with you that this is going to be more of a throwback offense with Chip Kelly, Carlos Lachlan, those guys. They've just hired Trim Drevno, who was the offensive coordinator for the Niners when Frank Gore led the NFC in rushing yards. It was also the offensive coordinator in Michigan when they were hammering the ball, as they always do. So clearly the run game is going to be a focus, but I don't think Dallan Hayden leaving affects this team at all. I don't think that they were that high on him. I liked him. I was much higher on him. I came on your show the year he was recruited and compared him to John Brockington, very downhill throwback style of runner. They didn't agree. They just didn't. I'm not shocked that he's transferring. I'm not upset that he's transferring. I love Dallan Hayden. He's a very nice guy. He's a fun I have nothing negative to say about him. And I don't think he's transferring too early either. I think that he stuck it out 2 years. It's very clear what was going to happen his third year. The only shocking part to me is the timing. Why would you not transfer out in the winter? That's the part that's weird to me. Does that make sense? There's nothing that's changed since the winter window was open. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, though, one thing has definitely changed, and that's lies reveal themselves. You don't stick in a place if you know you got no future, especially when everyone's hitting the portal. There's only two benefits to transferring at this time. One, you were lied to about the opportunities that you were going to get and the playing time that you're going to receive, so you leave.
But how do you know that?
But you have meetings with coaches all the time. They lay out plans for you. They lay out what their future looks like for you and what they expect.
So let's evaluate that point. So let's say Ryan Day told them, "Hey, you're gonna have another year where you're gonna." Well, I guess that's a better question for you. What do you think was said? What lie could have Ryan Day have told, knowing? Now remember, Dallan Hayden is aware that Travion Henderson is coming back and that Quinshawn Judkins is coming in. So Dallan Hayden is aware that two possible early round draft picks are gonna be there. So what lie could Ryan Day have told? That's the part that the only thing that's changed that may be a part of your argument is Tony Alford leaving. But everything we've been told or that we've been led to believe is that Tony Alford is one of the main reasons why he didn't get to play.
Yeah, so here's how I look at it, right? So when you look at a player like Hayden, what are the expectations per game that you're going to get? Between two to 5 carries at the most, situational rotation in. Obviously, if there's an injury that happens, it could be elevated. Things of that nature. And it could happen considering Travion Henderson's, injury history. But then you go into that season with that expectation, because if you really don't think you're going to see the field at all, there's no reason to actually stay there, especially as soon as Judkins comes in, you would expect him to leave if there was no expectation of an opportunity. So 100%. I think those conversations happen that they're going to say, hey, you're not going to have a major opportunity, but you have an opportunity to contribute. A majority of these guys are going to leave after this season, and then we're going to elevate you during your senior year, to being one of our top guys. Clearly, whatever happened in practice, whatever happened in meetings, whatever happened in the amount of reps he was getting per day, something about that did not align with the vision that they set out for him or the vision that he set out for himself. So the relationship breaks apart, because in reality, again, why would you waste all this valuable time? The only benefit now is that it's a smaller pool of players, so at least you have more attention on maybe getting recruited. But let's be real now, running back from Ohio State that has actual playing time hits the portal. You don't think that's going to get some eyes from somewhere? Maybe not Power 5, but definitely Group of 5. And let's be real now.
Oh no, he's going to go to the Power 5.
I'm just talking about not the player like himself. I'm just talking about
in general.
In general, right? So you already know that you're going to have opportunities. So if you're knowing that you're not going to get a shot at Ohio State, why would you wait? You know what I'm saying? So
that's what I was saying.
That's what I'm thinking is that I think he was not promised, but given a vision. That vision has not come true. Time to go.
And I get that 100%. Like I said, I don't blame the kid for
No.
leaving. I really don't. I don't think this is the case I don't think this is a case of someone leaving too early or, I mean, even I was more upset when Kyle McCord and Julian Fleming left because I felt like, or I guess I should say Julian Fleming. I was more upset when Julian Fleming left because I felt like, dude, he was started. He kind of got handed the keys and like he didn't really do anything with it. And it was just, and then he went to Penn State. It was kind of like a slap in the face. But Dallan Hayden, he stuck it out. They didn't give him, he didn't get no keys. You know what I mean? So I get it. I'm like I said, I would have, if it were me, I would have made the decision in the winter after Travion Henderson announced he was coming back and Quinshon Judkins transferred in. That's when I would have gone. So to me, it just didn't make any sense. Oh, we got a comment from John Wallace. Oh, it's a big one. Is it me or has Ohio State forced the issue of developing and sticking with the pocket passer? Why is Ohio State moving away from spread/RPO? Ryan Day has never trusted judgment other than the O-line, thinking they convert on fourth down inside the 31. Time and time again, the weapons Ohio State has had, but continue to remain one-dimensional. Post Justin Fields, post Terrell Pryor, post Braxton Miller. So we will get to that because we're going to cover.
So looking forward to that.
Well, because we're going to talk about that during the spring football portion, right? Because there's a lot that he talks about a lot: the quarterbacks, the weapons, the offensive line. But before we dive into that, I just want to make sure we're talking about. We finish up the conversation about Dallan Hayden because I do think it's the timing of it is interesting. And like I said before, I'm not mad that he left. I don't think him leaving affects 2024. I don't really think him leaving affects 2025. I know that, you made a comment about, Ryan Day or whatever, but like, I just don't, they just didn't like him. Something about Michael and I were talking last week and Michael had much higher hopes on Dallan Hayden this year than I did. And I said, dude, they don't like him. They hate him. And that was a joke. I was kind of half joking, but dude, I don't think it affects Ohio State at all. I mean, there's a 90%, I shouldn't say, there's a 75% chance they enter the portal at the end of this year and get a running back that's better than Dallan Hayden anyways, like they did this year. It's odd to me that they didn't even try because if you're the fan watching the games, he looked like a good running back. Every time he got the ball, he looked productive. But I guess those are my last final comments on it. Do you have anything else to add about the Dallan Hayden situation?
Yeah, so I have two more things to add. One, there's no looking to 2025 at any college football program. With the transfer portal, that's just not a possibility. So no,
you're right.
I'll just say, like, from his perspective, it seems like, not that he was promised, but that they were lining him up for minimal production or minimal opportunities this year. You the guy next year, right? But the second point is it me? I want to ask you a question because you are, one, you know the running back position better than most, and two, you know Ohio State football better than most. Is it me, or does it feel like there is, at random times in the Ryan Day tenure, random points of favoritism in the running back room when it isn't deserved?
Give me an example.
Okay, so again, I apologize to everyone. I'm horrible with names, but there was maybe a couple years ago, there was a running back that was behind Travion Henderson that we both loved, hard-nosed runner, Myron Williams. I felt that there was times that Williams did not get an opportunity when he deserved it, and they were force-feeding Henderson until the point where he got hurt.
Yeah, okay, so I thought that's what you were going with that. I think that that's a bigger issue with if you really want to break that point down. I think that goes more towards why is there such an issue with injuries in this program? Because the real reason Myron Williams didn't get a shot is because he got hurt. And he's been hurt. And he's been hurt for about a year and a half. And it's unfortunate because we both loved him. He was very productive. He was very solid, hard-nosed runner, old-school kind of guy. He just got hurt. Like you said, Travion Henderson got hurt. We talk about the receiver position. Jackson Smith-Njigba got hurt. These guys, they get hurt. It's that to me is the bigger issue. Is why are all these stars? Why is there always one star every year that gets hurt at Ohio State? It's so strange to me. I do think that Ryan Day rides the hot hand. Yeah, which makes it which is okay. You can do that when you have a plethora of running backs, and especially when we talk about Myron Williams and Travion Henderson, who are polar opposites. The problem is what I think that you're noticing is that when it came to Dallan Hayden, he had a hot hand for a couple games, and that he didn't get that same, whatever you want to call it, favoritism or a chance to ride it out like the other running backs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
everything else, the way the running back position has worked under the Ryan Day era, I can justify, right? I liked Mayan Williams more than most, but he was hurt.
Yes.
I liked not Mike Weber, but there was a running back after Master. I liked Master Teague more than most.
I don't want to talk about Master Teague. He was so fun to watch.
He was, but again, he was an old school hard nosed runner, and it was very clear that Travion Henderson is better, right? Yes. It was very clear that Master Teague is going to go down. Like in 20 years from now, when I'm talking to my son about Ohio State football, Master Teague isn't going to come up. Or if he does, he's going to come up in the same vein as Leto Ross, Maurice Hall, guys that just didn't quite, do it, but got a couple touches, right? And I'm okay with that. So everything else I can justify because that was just my bias, liking Master Teague and Mayan Williams more than most. But the Dallan Hayden situation, that wasn't just me and you. That was everybody. Everybody saw what that kid did. He was pretty good, and he didn't get another shot. He didn't get it. Those other guys got a shot, and they got beat out. Dallan Hayden didn't. He stepped in there, and they played Xavier Johnson in front of him and Chip Triana. It was just weird how they handled the situation. That's the only part I can't justify.
If Hayden took a Sharpie to the back of his jersey and then wrote in Henderson, I think he would have gotten more carries. And it kind of goes back to a further point I want to say before we transition, is that I feel that Ryan Day, since becoming a head coach after his first 2 years, where that was the Urban Meyer recruiting class, right?
Sure.
So this was set 2021. Even honestly, at the end of 2020, you could kind of see it happening. This Ohio State offense has never had a true identity. I think that's what's harming them. I think that's also what contributes to a lot of the injuries, is that Ryan Day does ride the hot hand, which is, I understand, but sometimes that hand turns lukewarm and he's still trying to feed it. And I feel like he is not in a position to develop a slow-moving, step-by-step offense. He wants the big shots all the time. And I think that's what has been harming Ohio State, especially in the big-time games in these past couple of years, especially in the big losses. Like, I get the quarterback situation was awful, and of course the injuries piled up in the Cotton Bowl. But you tell me right now, should Ohio State have lost to Missouri in that fashion? After Ohio State's defense, showed up and showed out, should they have held out? Should Ohio State's offense have only scored 17 points against the Michigan Wolverines?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I first of all, I've been on record multiple times saying, Ryan, I don't think that Ryan Day is going to finish his career as Ohio State head coach. If I had to put money on it, even with all the stacked talent, based off his track record, based off of what we all see, he's probably going to blow it again. But again, I'm going to keep it positive. This is the most talented Ohio State team we have seen in, I don't know, maybe ever. So I'm going to keep a positive attitude. And if you can't win, but that's the thing. If you can't win with this roster, with the crappy schedule that they have, where they only play 2 good teams, you're out. You're out. So there's no excuses this year. Now, I wish Michael was on the show here because he does disagree with that point. But let's move on to some of the other things you said. And this covers a lot of what John was talking about too, about the developing a pocket passer, all that. So I do think Ryan Day and Ohio State have an identity. I do think that they do. I don't think that the injuries. I don't think that this is fair, Ryan. Ryan, notorious Ohio State hater. So Ryan and Brock, you guys get along. But no, I agree. Like I said, if Ryan Day can't win with Ryan Day, I would have fired Ryan Day months ago.
Yes.
But there's no more excuses. But moving on. I do think that they have an identity, Brock. I don't think that has anything to do with the injuries. I think that's probably more of a strength and conditioning or turf issue, something I'm not smart enough to understand. But the problem with Ryan Day and his offense is that, first of all, they're not tough, right? When you have to yell at an 80-year-old man and you get out of breath yelling at that 80-year-old man who's probably in bed after you just ran a reverse to the short side of the field for the 4th play in a row, that's not a good sign.
I think he's like 84.
God bless him. God bless him.
Actually, he might be 86. Hold on, I'll look this up.
He was in bed, probably enjoying a nice bowl of soup. Like, all I'm saying is that they're not. When your tough play is a reverse to the short side, you're not tough. But so that's one of the issues. Another issue too is that I don't.
Shoot, he's 87.
God bless him.
They had him in a hospital bed inside Notre Dame Stadium, and Ryan Day's talking shit.
Talking shit. talking shit. I'd like to see him talk shit to Greg Schiano. We'll see how that Jersey dude beats his head. So, anyways, I think I do disagree with the fact that you said that Ryan Day likes to go deep. He likes to take deep shots. I don't think he does. Every time we've seen him take a quarterback, he's kind of taken away what they're good at. Justin Fields, when you look at Justin Fields, now that we know what Justin Fields is, and you go back and look at his stats at Ohio State, you go, what? Kind of like what John Walsh was pointing out with Braxton Miller, Terrell Pryor. He included Justin Fields, but Justin Fields, they didn't rush him. They stifled that dude. CJ Stroud, now that we see what he's done at Houston Texans, you can't tell me he's not better for the Texans than he ever was at Ohio State.
Oh, absolutely.
And the Texans, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. That's because Ryan Day has this vision in his head. I think that, and I think that that's one of the cool things of what Urban Meyer did, is that he would recruit you, and he would take that skill set and allow you to do what's best. Ryan Day coaches a little bit like he wants his quarterbacks to be precise, methodical. I think he wants to be, to rely on the crossers and the short passes. It's almost like he wants to be Mike Leach. But Mike Leach had to be Mike Leach because he coached at Texas Tech and Washington State. If Mike Leach had 5-star quarterbacks year in and year out, he probably let it rip more. But Ryan Day just can't. For some reason, he can't think outside of what he wants to do, which I think is an issue if you're at a place like Ohio State. Because when you're at a place like Ohio State, you're going to have certain guys that are so good at something that you have to be able to use that. And he just refuses to let some of these guys do that. Ryan has in their comment, he doesn't make in-game or even in-scheme adjustments.
Tell Ryan he's wrong. Tell Ryan he's wrong. Tell Ryan he's wrong.
He's not wrong. But the thing is, it's not that. The thing is that the adjustments and the adjustments that he makes are bad. It's not that he doesn't make adjustments. It's that his idea of a tough run game is a screen or a reverse to the short side of the field. Like he'll set things up. But then when you see the play that he set up, you go, that was it? Are you sure? Are you sure that that's what you want to do? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like when I play my nephew in Madden. He'll throw 85 Hail Marys in a row and then running back draw. And it's like, okay, there was a thought process behind what he did. He tried to fool me, but he didn't fool. You know what I mean? He's trying. It's just he's failing at it, right? That might be a bigger issue. I think that honestly, that's probably a bigger issue because if it was a scheme, if he wasn't making adjustments mid-game, I would say that, okay, he's hired Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's going to help him with that to make in-game adjustments and we can rock and roll. So that is a concern of mine because I do think he was making adjustments and they just were really bad adjustments. Hopefully Chip Kelly can still help with that. I do think that that's one benefit of hiring Chip Kelly is that Chip Kelly is he looks up to Chip Kelly, right? It'd be like if, I don't know, I hired Bill to help me with my podcast and draft work, right? That'd be like you're the guy. You know what I mean? Like if you look up to somebody, you are more willing to respect what they have to say. So I do think that that's one benefit of Chip Kelly. I do think that that's the hope. That's the hope is that Chip Kelly gets a larger say than anybody else in that room before. And I think that might be the case because we talk a lot about Ryan Day's success being aligned with Urban Meyer's recruits, but a lot of Ryan Day's success also aligned with Wilson, the old offensive coordinator before he left for Tulsa.
Kevin Wilson. Yeah, so the thing is,
this is a audio platform, so I should probably read it out loud instead of just read it in my mind. At IU, week 1, almost losing to a Lego quarterback, left cornerbacks on an island, refusing to. So the defense the defense isn't Ryan Day at all. That's all Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles is someone who did grow into that defense improved week in and week out. What was once, Brock and I had podcasts where he asked me. One question, he said, when is Ohio State going to have a first-round defensive player? And I didn't know what to tell you. I had no idea what to tell you, right? Because it wasn't ever going to happen. The defense is now, in my opinion, the defense is the strength of the team, right? There's maybe more stars on the offensive side of the ball, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith. But as far as a complete, like, too deep, that defense, that's the strength of the team, in my opinion, of 2024. Would you agree with that or not, Brock?
I would have to definitely agree. I think what we saw last year from the defense, even in the losses, they were spectacular. They gave out 20
They
points
were
to
better.
Michigan.
I don't know if I want to say elite or you know what I mean? Like I'll level with you and say that, hey, maybe they weren't the best defense in the country, but they were better. They were
they weren't the best, but I felt like they had some heart for the first time in like a couple of years. Yeah. And schematically, like they were holding teams. Like again, Michigan, they had them to like 20. Then they hold Missouri to like 0 points in the first half in the Cotton Bowl, and then you add a guy like Caleb Downs to your defense. So obviously, I think Jack Sawyer is going to have a breakout year this season. So I expect some big things from this defense. The problem is, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't have the faith in Chip Kelly or Ryan Day to get this offense rolling. And the reason is, if we look back at Chip Kelly's last year at UCLA, now I want to commend Kelly on the job he did with the Bruins, right? But let's take a look at some of these results from 2024. Now, first off, he brings in Dante Moore, right? And that did not work out at all. So that's red flag number one. And then secondly, he brought in a bunch of guys in the transfer portal: J. Michael Sturdivant, Kyle Ford, Carson Steele. God, Carson Steele looks like a Viking. But those guys didn't really work out. So looking at UCLA's kind of offense, so when they played Arizona State, a team that was absolutely awful last year, they scored 7 points at home. When they played Cal in the last ever of that rivalry game on Senior Day, last Pac-12 at night, they score 7 points. When they play
before we move on, I want to be very clear. Are you bashing Carson Lexington Steele?
I'm not bashing him, but what I'm saying is that he didn't work out, and considering his production at Ball State,
he did work out. How dare you? How dare you bash?
What do you mean he did? What?
Carson Lexington Steele should have won the Heisman, dude.
Are you? What kind of drugs it got up in Ohio?
Listen.
Actually, considering my girlfriend's father, that might actually make a lot of sense. But
listen. So 2023, you're right. You don't have to rehash it. They were bad. UCLA fans, when Chip Kelly left, they weren't that upset.
They threw a parade.
I think that the most alarming part of the
parade when he left.
They didn't throw a parade, but the 2023 season is kind of an anomaly for him. Okay, first of all, UCLA's all those other seasons they were okay. Last year, the big issue with last year, the concerning part with last year was that the way he handled the quarterback battle.
Yes,
that's the part that was upsetting, because you mentioned Dante Moore. Clearly, he felt pressure to play the 5-star kid, right? Even though he brought in Nathan Shieldhouse from Kent State, played him a little bit, and then they brought back whoever they had from the year before and played him a little bit. He couldn't make a decision.
College sleeve.
No, because Garbers was at Cal, right? Was Garbers there?
His brother.
Oh, that's right. I'm an idiot. You're right. So he was rotating in between those three guys for far too long. And that was one of the issues that Ryan Day had last year, in my opinion, is that he let the quarterback battle leak in far too long. Far too long. You got to make a decision. If you can't make a decision, then you failed, right? And then you got to rock and roll. And I think that was the biggest issue Chip Kelly faced. I also think that there was a drop-off because due to the NIL era, he was forced to kiss babies and suck dicks, and he's just not that kind of guy. He don't want to do it no more, right? Which I think is why Deshaun Foster is probably a good hire for them, because he's young, he's ready to rock and roll. He's okay with leaving his family for months at a time to go kiss babies and suck dicks for money. And that's fine. Ryan Day does it. You have to in the college. You have to if you want to compete in the NIL world. And Chip Kelly's just too old and too arrogant to do that shit anymore.
Which is one thing, except UCLA's roster was elite. They had a much better defensive scheme than the year before, and yet they regressed. Like, I don't know how that gives you confidence in any way.
Well, because he's not calling the defense; he's calling the offense.
But that's what I say.
The offense, his issues on offense are yang to Ryan Day's yang. There's no doubt that the UCLA offense, despite the lack of talent, was tougher than the Ohio State's offense. And Chip Kelly's, since we take the last 4 or 5 years, the UCLA offense was bigger, badder, and tougher than the Ohio State offense, right? So if he can add a little bit of that flavor, then I think we're cooking with the oil. Ryan's got another comment. Chip Kelly, is among the most overrated offensive coordinators, head coaches. He's put up numbers at college level opponents due to having vastly superior rosters. However, never showed up against fair talent or big games. Even worse is the NFL. Dream team in Philly never came to be and couldn't make anything happen. See, okay, so there's a couple different issues with that. He never had superior talent at Oregon. Maybe a couple years with Mariota. Dude, you can't tell me that the dude who had LaMichael James, who we found out ran an actual 4.5 40 after we all thought he ran a 4.2, LeGarrette Blount, who was a very average running back. And I mean, can you name a wide receiver from the Oregon from that era?
Did you say LeGarrette Blount was an average running back?
LeGarrette Blount is Master Teague if Master Teague was allowed to continue to play. Right? Like, dude, you can't, I mean, you know what I mean?
LeGarrette Blount ran 2 different franchises to a Super Bowl.
Huh?
He ran 2 different franchises to a Super Bowl.
Him and Jonas Gray or Jonas Blue or whatever that guy's name. Listen, dude, he just, you know, those Dennis Dixon was his quarterback. You know, he was really Chip Kelly. Here's what I'll say about Chip Kelly.
Okay.
I think that point is wrong. Okay. I don't think that Oregon ever had vastly superior talent to anybody other than a couple with the Mariota teams. They were some ballers, but I mean, can you think of a wide receiver from the Oregon from those years that was legitimate?
I can't think of a wide receiver, but I do want to add.
Pharaoh Brown, was that the big?
Okay, but I want to throw a second thing in there. All right.
Well, hold on, but I want to continue to get this point home though, because this is college football. We can name examples where, oh my God, 20 people got drafted. Georgia a couple of years ago had 20 dudes drafted in the first round. There are examples. You can say that about Ryan Day. You can say that about Ryan Day because there are games where Ryan Day is favored by 21 points every week, every goddamn week. They're the best team in the country. USC under Pete Carroll. Those teams were so much better than everybody else, and you could see it. And all those guys went to the NFL and did exciting things. You can't really do that with Chip Kelly. And what killed Chip Kelly in the NFL too, his NFL resume is really not that bad, is that he wanted to be the GM. What's always killed Chip Kelly is his arrogance. That's fair. Right? That's the reason why he failed at UCLA at the end, because he wasn't willing to kiss babies. And that's the reason why he failed the NFL, because he wanted to be the GM. Right? You can't do those things. But I don't think that's it. You can say the talent thing about Ryan Day. You can't really say it about Chip Kelly. I can't let this slide. But Brock, what were you going to say before I cut you off?
No, you make a good point, and there's no reason to debate it. But I do want to add this point. When Ohio State historically during the Ryan Day era has gone against equal competition, with Ryan Day guys, not my guys, with Ryan Day guys, they lose.
Yeah, they lose.
So what schematically is Chip Kelly going to do to change a culture that's been established, and a culture that's about losing? Plus, we can't really look at the past 4 or 5 years of the Chip Kelly era, because that's a different era of college football. Completely different landscape now. And those who just have shown the success, like a Kalen DeBoer, you know?
Yeah.
Chip Kelly on the flip end has gone the opposite.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I think that Chip Kelly and Tim Drevno, offensive coordinator for the Niners when Frank Gore led the NFL in rushing, 2015. Both Chip Kelly and Tim Drevno, their offenses historically have been more downhill. Ryan Day, dude, I keep his go-to short run play is a reverse. Like, if you can just get somebody in there to help go north and south, dude, you've already made a world of difference. Now, Ryan Day is still the CEO, so Chip Kelly can only do so much. I'm not worried about Chip Kelly at all. I think Chip Kelly is to be honest with you, I love the Bill O'Brien hire too, for the exact same reason. I thought that Bill O'Brien brought similar traits, similar powerful, this is what we need, this is what you need, traits that to Ryan Day. So maybe Ryan Day is seeing that. That's going to be the issue. If that's the reason Ryan Day went from Bill O'Brien to Chip Kelly, because he understands that is what his offense needs, that's what he needs, then we're good. Then that dude's a changed man, and he's still young enough that could be the case. Now, if that's not the case, and he still wants to do Ryan Day things and run a reverse with Jaden Ballard on 3rd and 1 against Oregon, then we're going to have issues. We are going to have issues. They're going to lose again.
Yeah,
Here's another.
Agreed.
God, I got a lot of Buckeye lovers on here tonight.
Agreed. So looking ahead to
Great
kind of the
picks.
Ohio
So fired
State
up.
schedule, obviously they have 3. I don't want to use the word cakewalks, but such a cakewalks to start the season. But
They only have 2 games. They have 2 games the whole year. You can say it. You're not going to offend me.
No, I'm not trying. I'll offend you anytime. Like that doesn't matter to me. No,
they
but
played 2 real games.
What I am gonna say is at Michigan State, I know they're obviously in a full rebuild, but Jonathan Smith schematically is brilliant. And Iowa, right, with Phil Parker. Right, is that the right Parker? Yeah, Norm passed away. Okay, so yeah, Phil Parker.
Phil Parker's. I understand your confusion. Ray Parker wrote the 1980s classic. Who you gonna call Ghostbusters theme song?
No, that's Ray Parker. There's Phil Parker, and then there's Norm Parker. Yes. And one of them went before the other, and now one of them is in the sky. Okay, so I was making sure I didn't give credit to the person that has passed on. R.I.P. Norm Parker. But
there you go.
Iowa. So actually, that's 3 straight games of defensive schematic excellence at Michigan State, home against Iowa, and at Oregon.
Okay.
I think that Oregon is a trap game, by the way. But
it can't be a trap if you see it, right?
Fair.
There's only 2 good. There's 2 good games. They played 2 good years. They played 2 good teams on their schedule. That's one of them. Who's the other? Who's the third?
So
Iowa?
At Oregon, Penn State, Michigan.
Oh, you're still counting Penn State?
You're not?
I'll let you do that, I guess. Penn State is
Mike Yurosek. I think that's his name. The old offense coordinator. Let me make sure I got the right name. Mike Yurcich, the terrorist, is no longer there. So they got a new offensive mind. Plus Tom Allen as a defensive coordinator, a guy that's been studying Ohio State for
that's a good hire.
The past 7 years. So yeah. I think again, big. I think those 3 games are going to. God, I wish they were playing Notre Dame this year instead of last year.
I was on your podcast last year before the season.
Yes,
and I said that I thought Penn State was going to win the Big Ten, and this was the most talented team maybe in college football from top down. Now, Drew Allar, I was wrong about. I don't think that he was the issue, but I thought that he was going to be an all-conference caliber quarterback. He was not. But that rest of that roster, I stand by that. That he's James Franklin is just he's the Ryan Day of Penn State, I guess. I don't know how else. I don't want to even. I feel like even that's too much. Glenn Mason, he's good enough to make half the population be like, oh, Penn State could be good this year. And he's good enough to bring in a couple 5 stars and be like, Penn State's sneaking up the recruiting rankings, but he's never good enough to do anything meaningful.
That's fair. Here's how I see it. I think Franklin has definitely hit his peak. However, Yurcich was awful, and I think he handcuffed Aller massively. I think you're going to see a massive improvement, especially with the addition of Julian Fleming. You're going to still see that 1-2 combo in the running back room. I think Penn State is going to be not going to win the Big Ten.
Julian Fleming was average, though. We should get that straight. I love Julian Fleming. I'm really upset that he left, but he's average. That's one of the reasons why he left.
I think Ryan Day's handcuffing his quarterbacks made him average.
You think that Julian? Oh man,
I don't think he's like a Chris Olave or like a. I'm not saying like that level. But I'm saying level? I think he's
how can we bet on this?
How can we bet on this? Damn. What's his over under for yards this season? That's what I want to know.
They don't do player props anymore in college.
Oh, that's right. They're adults. If you're 18 and not in high school, we should be able to bet on you. I'm sorry.
Julian Fleming has always had rough hands. And no one loves Julian Fleming more than me. When Donovan had me on his show and I said, tell me about Julian Fleming. And he wrote a 15-minute soliloquy about Julian Fleming being the next OBJ. I was floating in the sky like, I believe you. Julian Fleming was my first NIL purchase. He was at the mall and I waited in line with my mini helmet. I was like, this is it. This guy's going to be OBJ. Donovan said so. And he was okay. I'm not going to bash on him too much. He was okay. I think that he left. I think that I say that he wasn't going to play. I think he was going to be the number 3 receiver. I do think but that wasn't obviously he wanted to be the number 1 guy. Whatever. He's okay. But if you're adding him thinking that you're going to get Who was the kid from Kent State that they added last year? Dante Cephas, was that his name?
I think so.
You're gonna get a similar impact to that, right? Cephas got a little hurt. He got hurt, bumped and bruised. So that's not entirely fair, but you're gonna get a similar impact to that. You're not, maybe Eric All, if Eric All would have stayed healthy at Iowa, Julian Fleming is just not the dude.
Julian Fleming's gonna have over 1,000 yards catching and double-digit touchdowns.
I wish that Mike was here so bad, Brock. Mike, I'm telling you, last week we were talking about the carries and we got in this. It was not, I don't want to say it was a heated argument. And I like Dallan Hayden. I make it sound like Mike was on his hands and knees worshiping Dallan Hayden. And I was saying, no. I like Dallan Hayden too, but Mike had different visions. So Mike threw his back out being a dad today. So he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So Brock stepped in last second.
That's the crux of
fatherhood. Brock's thought you have to go rewind.
It's over.
Yeah, you'll have to rewind to hear Brock's viewpoint on Dallan Hayden, but it's not as glowing as Mike's was. But that's fine. That's fine. So let's talk about the spring game a little bit. Our boy John Wallace had some other interesting things here. We talked about the quarterbacks, pocket passers. Oh.
Hello.
Speaking of,
dude, sorry, I got my time all wrong. I apologize for that.
I thought you were dead. I thought your back was out.
Yeah.
No, my back is killing me, but I am here clearly.
Well, the chat misses you. Here's one that we loved.
Yeah, I would say yes. I think we were all surprised that he didn't enter the portal earlier. Thank you for filling in for me, Brock. Appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you look at the depth chart, you look at the kind of usage over the last few years, and it makes sense. I'm surprised that he didn't once Judkins committed.
Well, I said,
but he's going to go on and he's going to run for 1,000 yards somewhere else, and it's going to be unfortunate because it's always going to be a what if with him, but it's the right choice for him.
Maybe it's definitely the right choice for him. I was talking about you kind of reiterated the things I said to Brock. It's not that he transferred. It's the timing of it's weird. You knew you weren't going to play very much. We set his over-under at around 100 carries this year, and you still decide to stay through 3 weeks of spring. That was a little odd. But whatever. It is what it is.
I think for Dallan, I think it's going to be like every Ohio State player that leaves Ryan Day. They're just going to get better,
I mean...
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong right now.
I don't know. I can't. Well,
where was this C.J. Stroud 1 year ago when he was in Columbus?
That's true.
What was this dynamic rusher in Justin Fields when he was in Columbus?
That's true. I don't have
he put the clamps on him from running. I agree with you, Brock. No, he definitely limited some players that he should not have. But you can make the argument about Harrison Jr., right? They didn't limit him. They let him go, right? Yeah. They did everything with him.
Garrett Wilson.
Right. I think he was a little bit more careful with his quarterbacks. He realized what the depth was behind him, especially with Stroud, right? Because behind Fields was Stroud. So for at least the second season, right?
Yeah.
And then behind Stroud, we saw what had happened last year. So,
but I think
I think he's just protecting the guys.
No, I can understand. Oh no, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, I was going to speak on your behalf. I think what you're saying is, that's fine and dandy. That works when you're talking about it in practice, but when it actually plays out and you lose to Michigan 3 times in a row, you know what I mean? Because we saw what Stroud could do against Georgia, and if we would have had him against Michigan, if we would have had if he was unlocked against Michigan, we'd be dealing with a different kind of guy.
Absolutely, and with Stroud, I guess Justin Fields I can understand, right? Because obviously he has the athletic ability. When you're running and get hurt a lot, I get it. Stroud is the prototypical perfect quarterback for a Ryan Day offense, right? Not only that, he was surrounded by tremendous talent around him, but that offensive line had 3 NFL caliber guys: Paris Johnson Jr., DeJuan Jones, and the center whose name I slipping in my mind right now.
Luke Whippler.
Yep.
Thank you, Luke Whippler. Right. So you have protection, you have weapons. All you need is scheme, and yet time and time again, we saw it in the Michigan game as one thing. But the thing that really stood out to me was the Sugar Bowl, right? Especially the final drive. I felt that Stroud was rolling. They were going down the field, and when they were in prime position, with all they needed was another first down in order to kick a game-winning field goal. That play calling went to poo. And whose fault is that? It's Ryan Day's, right? And had they been able to kick that field goal, we're talking about Ryan Day, national champion, most likely. So,
100%.
So again, it just goes back to the narrative that when push comes to shove and when it's critical moments, Ryan Day fails time and time again, especially with a roster that he constructed.
Listen, dude, I'm not gonna argue for Ryan Day. I'm telling you right now, I would have had him fired a months ago. Mike, Chris brings up a good point. What's going on with your living room? Are you rich now? Is that what just happened?
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Did you get some kind of raise I wasn't privy to at USA Today? Oh, he's gone now. All right, let's move on to the spring game.
I want to say, like, I want my bonus. Like Razwire never to give me nothing. Damn.
This is a virtual background in my basement today. So you do not want to see my basement. It's unfinished. It's got a bunch of crap over there. So I figured virtual background's the way to go today.
So let's go on to the spring game a little bit before we're already an hour mark. I appreciate you filling in, Brock. Conversation's been fun.
Thank you very much.
It's always fun hearing someone who's out of the Ohio State sphere and what they think. So the spring game, there's a couple things I want to watch. Obviously, I think everybody agrees that the quarterback battle is going to be intense, right? It's very clear that Will Howard isn't just walking away with this. Devin Brown is giving a fight, and we've even heard some rumors that Julian Sain is throwing nothing but dimes, which is making it really hard to sit him back. Another thing, an underrated thing to watch, in my opinion, is Lincoln Kienholz and how he's utilized. That's a guy. There's going to be at least 5 guys that enter the portal. Dallan Hayden's going to be one of them, and there's going to be at least 4 more. Is it going to be Lincoln Kienholz?
Yes.
So that's okay.
Yes.
Yes.
How's that a question? How's that a question?
Have you not been on Twitter recently? There's already talk that he's going to visit Iowa on the 20th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
he's
that.
already reached out supposedly, and this is just rumors, obviously. Supposedly, he's already reached out to Caleb Brown, who obviously was a Buckeye with him a couple of years ago. And he's like, hey, how is it out there? Would it make sense? And, the internet chatter is that he's going to visit on the 20th. So
can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
Lincoln Kienholz to Alabama. Kalen DeBoer recruited him hard at Washington. Lincoln Kienholz goes to Alabama, wins a national championship over Ohio State.
Oh, you don't like that. Oh, man.
Why are you making that face, Brock?
That would not be fun.
Because Kalen DeBoer already has a quarterback. His name is Jalen Milroe.
You mean the wide receiver?
No, I mean the guy that's going to...
Or the running back?
The SEC champion, Jalen Milroe. The only quarterback to defeat Georgia outside of Bryce Young in the past 3 years.
I forgot you. We were talking about Dennis Dixon and other Oregon grade quarterbacks. He's very similar to those guys.
Are you telling me right now Jalen Milroe does not beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl if he has a center that can snap the ball?
Yeah, I'm telling you he doesn't. No.
Yeah,
what do you mean he doesn't? Oh,
You're talking
on.
to one of the guys that made money on Michigan to beat Alabama.
His defense failed. The defense failed them. They had the opportunity to get him off the field. They just didn't at the end.
Listen, guys. We don't use the rearview mirror here. Okay. Here's what we know. We know that they lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
Put that baby back in drive. So what is your problem? Even if they have Jalen Milroe, what's your problem with Kienholz going to Alabama?
I don't have a problem with it. He's not gonna play.
Yeah,
I didn't say he was gonna play this year.
No, he's not gonna play right away. Yeah, but if he transfers, he's gonna sit out, learn the offense. Right? Yeah, kind of like a de facto redshirt year for him, and then start the next year. It makes sense. I mean, the only reason why you talked about it, Josh. The fact that Julian Sain is pushing the ones, right? And I told you this, and we can go back. I think it was 2 podcasts ago when we ranked our 5, on the depth chart quarterbacks, and I'd say in second. And
you did.
And everything that I've seen, everything that I've watched, everything tells me that this young man is going to be special. He's the earliest quarterback to have his black stripe taken off.
So
That tells you a lot, right?
I
That should tell you a ton.
you should do a victory lap because you did. I was like, Julian saying this fast because honestly, when I watched this high school tape too, I was like, I'm used to watching Terrell Pryor.
Sure.
When there's 5-star guys, it just doesn't look like that. Mike knew it. He pointed out immediately.
Yep.
Now he did lose the Dallan Hayden bet. He lost the bet.
I did.
Officially, it's going to hit the under the carries.
Oh, 100%.
But you were on the Julian Sane claim. You were on the Julian Sane train more before anybody, really, before any podcast or anything. Yeah. What about Aaron Nolan too? You think he's going out of the portal? I think
Nolan sticks around. I think he sticks around because I think after next year. So look, if say hypothetically Sane is QB2, right?
Yeah.
Devin Brown's going to transfer out. Howard's going to be the starter. They're going to roll with Howard, and then it's going to be an open competition for who's the starter next year. And why wouldn't Aaron Nolan want to stay around to be able to throw to all these wide receivers? At least compete.
I don't think Devin
if he's good enough.
I'll tell you exactly the reason why. It's because they're going to fire Ryan Day and Greg Schiano's going to get hired. And they're going to run the ball 30 times a game. They run the ball 80 times a game. That's why.
Yeah. You're speaking my dream, baby. You're speaking.
I know.
No, not Schiano. Come on, let's be real here. Right. So I think it was it ESPN? They ranked like the top 10 coaches in the country, and they ranked day 10 behind like a bunch of Like at worst he's fifth, right? At worst.
No.
Where are you putting him?
No.
Where are you putting him, Brock?
Like maybe top 20.
You don't want to ask Brock because Brock is going to have behind like Chris Trailer and GG Kenny.
Let me find this. Let me say this. Let me find this list.
And I would agree with you, Brock.
Outside of Clemson and that Sugar Bowl, and then immediately after Clemson took a nosedive, what is Ryan Day's signature win? A comeback against Utah? Like what's his signature win?
He's only got one. He's got Clemson win.
He's got one. Is that really a win? Because Clemson was never good after that?
Don't shit on the Clemson win.
Yeah,
I'm pooping on it.
Now the Utah win doesn't count. Everybody left early. Doesn't count.
All right, I got this list.
Okay.
Goes Kirby Smart, Kalen DeBoer, Kyle Whittingham, Dabo, Mike Norvell, Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Lance Leipold, and then Ryan Day. So you're telling me on this list that Ryan Day shouldn't at least be 5 to 6?
He's better than GJ Kenny's better. Chris Kleiman's better.
Well, hold on, Brock, because we're gonna ask him the rest of the list. The only person that you said that Ryan Day is definitively better than is Lane Kiffin. Everybody else, harder.
Ryan Day's not better than Lane Kiffin.
Really?
Whoa. Okay, hold on. Wait.
No, don't me.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's not the argument. Right? Okay. That's not the argument. The argument is because Michael is saying he's in the top 5, and I'm saying at best, I'm saying that he's at best 9. Brock, you're saying
9.
You definitively believe. I'm not. Yeah, because all those guys are also in tougher situations. Lance Leipold is winning at Kansas, and before that, he won at Buffalo.
You really have Kyle Whittingham as your third best coach, though?
Yeah, because he's winning at Utah.
But what has he won, though?
Whoa. He beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. He has a Fiesta Bowl win. He's been to 2 Rose Bowls, has 2 Pac-12 championships, and took a team from the Mountain West to the Pac-12 and has been successful at both conferences.
And all those years, they were never predicted to win the conference.
I just don't see it.
Never. So Ohio State
I just don't see it.
That's the issue. Is that Ohio State is. You might not. I'm not saying you're wrong, Michael. What I'm saying is that when you're comparing the two, you have to compare expectation, right? Lance Leipold is understandable. He got to Kansas. They were predicted to be last in the conference, and they almost won it. Kyle Whittingham, they're never predicted to win the Pac-12. They're never predicted to win the Pac-12, and they've done it twice since he's been there. Who's behind Ryan Day on this list? Do they rank him past 10?
No, they just went through 10. The graphic.
Let me ask. Oh, sorry, continue. My bad.
No, I was going to say because there are some group of 5 coaches that I also think you can make a serious argument. I mean, Chris Trailer has made UTSA into quite the powerhouse. You know what I mean? Mike Elko at Duke what he did at Duke. I mean, that can't be slept on. I'm trying to think of what Jason Candle did at Toledo. Who's that's the MAC is one of the most parity-ridden conferences out there, and he's won it twice. Like that's kind of it's very hard at a place where everybody's leaving every year as soon as you win. And I'm not saying those guys are better than Ryan Day, just like I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Lance Leipold's better than Ryan Day either. But I'm saying that list doesn't shock me at all. Is what I'm saying.
I would like to add this: is Ryan Day a top 10 coach because he's a top 10 coach, or is he a top 10 coach because he's a head coach at Ohio State?
Ohio State.
Exactly. I'm just saying. Let's. Oh, sorry, Mike.
No, you're good. Well, so they continued with the list. They have also receiving votes, right? So Brian Kelly technically 11, Lincoln Riley 12, Kirk Ferentz 13, Fickle 14, Drinkwitz 15.
Pause. Let's do that. Let's do the fifth. Let's do that. Let's do it by 5.
Okay.
So we had 11 was who? Brian Kelly. Okay, I could see that. 12 was Lincoln Riley. I think Ryan Day is definitively better than Lincoln Riley. I think Lincoln Riley and Lane Kiffin are the same overrated mumbo jumbo, smooth talking, semi good looking, fast paced offenses, never win shit coaches. That's
Lane has double digit win seasons at FAU and Ole Miss. He went back to back. I think in the first time in the program's history.
What he did at FAU was very impressive. Yes. What he did at Ole Miss when he beat 4 Sunbelt schools, I don't care.
Right?
Because that's what you're talking about, right?
Underperformed in Oklahoma.
Yeah, he also beat LSU this year with Heisman winner Jay Daniels, top 5 pick Malik Neighbors.
You talk about the team that let everybody score 70 points?
Yeah. I just say, how many games did LSU lose this year? 3. Ole Miss, Alabama was in the college football playoff. Florida State undefeated and should have been in the college football playoff.
Dude, if you like Lane Kiffin, that's fine. I'm not. It's the argument isn't about Lane Kiffin. If you like Lane Kiffin, you're allowed to. But I mean that's a dude. That I'm trying to think of the Big Ten comparison, but the problem is the Big Ten plays more conference games.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the problem. Like PJ Fleck.
Okay.
No. Maryland. Who's the fucking Maryland coach?
Mike Locksley.
Mike Locksley.
He's Mike Locksley.
Mike Locksley's a better coach than Ryan Day. Mike Locksley's a better coach than Ryan Day.
You're allowed to think that. You're allowed to think that.
No, it's facts. It's actually facts.
I don't know if it's facts because again, when Maryland. Here's the deal about Maryland, though, because Maryland will lose to teams that have comparable. Mike Locksley is very good at smashing and putting his. He's like Lane Kiffin. If they are 14 points better than the other team, they will win by 85. That's what he's really good at, and they will scoot and carry those 4 games the entire year. But then as soon as they play a team like I don't know, Minnesota or Iowa, who punches them in the mouth, they're like, oh, we don't want to be here. Right. So you're allowed to think that Mike Locksley is better than Ryan Day. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't want him to replace Ryan Day. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay. What? Okay. Let me make this point, right?
Mike Locksley also had one of the worst coaching stints ever in the history of college football in New Mexico, right?
It's New Mexico. It's New Mexico.
But if he's a good coach, he brings it up, though.
People have won there.
Who? Yeah, outside
that's your argument. That's your argument for Ryan Day, though. You can't have it both sides. You can't be like, Ryan Day is only winning because he's at Ohio State, and then be like, oh, Mike Locksley's only losing because he's at New Mexico. You can't have it.
It's New Mexico.
You can't have it both ways. 2009. That's the same argument, though. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that you can't. That's the same argument. That's fair.
Okay.
I put him behind Henry.
I want to add this point. Every coach that I have mentioned that is better than Ryan Day has greatly improved the program from the state that it was when they first entered. In what way has Ryan Day? Has Ryan Day not? I'm not saying it's he even improved Ohio State because Ohio State's the creme de la creme. Has he maintained the status?
No, he's made Ohio State.
No,
he's made Ohio State worse.
Right.
Yeah, he's made Ohio State worse for sure. Bob Davie won New Mexico. Anyways, move on. We're good. So what? Who was after?
Riley.
We are.
Kirk.
I'll look this up. Did he win at New Mexico? Yeah, he was there for a long time. He actually has two winning seasons in like 9 years. Good for him.
Good for him.
Brian Ferentz.
Good for him.
Kirk Ferentz. Yeah.
I wouldn't want. Yeah, okay. You know what? Yeah, okay. You gotta say yeah.
He's Mr. 8-4.
Kirk Ferentz without nepotism and racism is one of the greatest college coaches of all time.
Unfortunately, Brocky has both of those.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That's the two things. That's two things. If he would just allow a black quarterback to play at Iowa again.
Okay.
Again.
It's been over 20 years since Banks.
I mean, they were.
That's all
Was his name? Shoot. What was his name?
Banks, right? What's his name?
Yeah.
Went to the Rose Bowl. It was cool.
Yeah, they were really good. They were really good.
Second in the Heisman voting.
Yeah, they were really good.
Never
again.
Really
good. Never
here's
again.
Here's a Ricky Stanton.
Liga Keenholz is next.
Oh no.
Yeah, I would say Ferentz is. You can make a strong argument. He's better.
We're gonna go pick up the fourth string quarterback from Wisconsin, Whitewater.
No, they'll go back to their well and go grab a Michigan guy. Brad Banks, there it is. Thank you.
Who's next?
After Ferentz, it's Fickle.
See, I don't want to say Fickle's better than Ryan Day.
He had potential, but then what we saw at Wisconsin was
crashed.
In Cincinnati, people also forget that Cincinnati is in the it's different now because they're in the Big 12. But when he was there in the AAC in the G6 or whatever, Cincinnati's kind of the powerhouse. Oh, that's really easy.
They were.
Because you get the Ohio State rundown. It's a really easy place to recruit. If you look at the guys that there's a lot. There's been a lot of average coaches.
The coaching tree from there is pretty large.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
As long as you're not Tommy Tuberville, you're gonna have success in Cincinnati. Or Scott Satterfield.
I mean, Brian Kelly had success in Cincinnati.
That's what I'm saying. That's that's what launches
Brian Kelly and exactly. And somehow he's landed at LSU. I don't know how.
Yeah, but that's who you know right there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. After Fick, it's the Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz.
That seems a little rash too.
Too soon.
Yeah, because they were going to fire him like 6 months ago.
I had him like number one on the hot seat entering.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty. Because he also didn't build Appy State either. No, he was the guy. That's why everybody had him. Yeah, and they were already good. They were already good.
Yeah,
they were already good. All right, Mac Brown's after him.
I'll put 2005.
I was going to say I'll put Ryan Day over Mac Brown. That's fair.
Yeah, Mike Gundy.
I'll put Ryan Day over.
Ryan Day over.
No.
Gundy.
I gotta go.
No. Gundy's a beneficiary of playing a conference that doesn't play strong defense because Gundy's a sit there with Ryan Day, but just longer tenure, as in can't win the big game. All right. Whenever Oklahoma State is favored against a somewhat decent opponent, or they are like ridiculously not ridiculously, if they're like even toe with somebody, right? They lose. They gotta be plus 21 and a half for them to win. That's only
not
way.
True.
What do you mean that's not true?
He's got a lot of upsets under his belt.
Yeah, and one conference championship.
Gundy's similar.
I'm taking Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy's got some juice. Oklahoma State's a tough place.
Gundy's similar. All right, after that, New Michigan State head coach Jonathan Smith.
Better than Ryan Day. Not even close.
Are we sure about that? Why are we so sure?
I don't know.
Did we not recognize the defense he had up at Corvallis?
That's also not the. I mean, is that was he up there that long? I mean, was it like? Yes. Are we gonna? Is that enough to define him as a better coach? Is that enough?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say he's a better coach either.
What?
I think he's a
I'm
good
not ready
coach.
for that either. And they were not good for a long time too.
Yeah,
they were bad the first 4 years. Didn't it take him 5 years to get that program running too?
It's Oregon State.
I know, but all I'm saying is we're trying to figure out who is definitively better than Ryan Day, and I don't think somebody who took 5 years to be okay at Oregon State because they're also not great. We're acting like they're world beaters. They're not. I don't think I'm not willing to do that.
So here's what I want to point to my evidence of this. From 1997 to 2014, their head coach was Mike Riley, right? No, I said that. From 1997 to 1998, head coach was Mike Riley, right? He never had a winning season. Then they had Erickson come in. He had that incredible year where he won the Orange Bowl, was like 1 win away, like 3 points away from winning a national championship that year, right? So he comes back in, and then he has some decent years, 8 wins, 7 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins, so on and so forth. But his last 2 years, 2013, 2014, he goes 7-6, 5-7. We move forward to the next coach, which is gotta click back. Gary Anderson. Anderson proceeds to go 2-10, 4-8, and then 1-5 before he's fired. Right.
Former Wisconsin assistant.
So exactly. So in 2018, that's when Jonathan Smith comes in, as my computer can hurry up and click. Right?
Okay.
So Smith goes 2-10, 5-7, 2-5, and then changes up 7-6, 10-3, 8-4. So
but you're describing
that was like a 10-year perennial loser.
Yeah.
You're describing Ryan Day. That's
But
not an overnight
When
sensation.
was Ohio State a loser?
Ryan Day's been at Ohio State for 5 years. He's only been at Ohio State for 5 years, right? Jonathan Smith took 4 years to build that program, and it's Oregon State. We'll see. We'll see, because you got Michigan State being a tough game, and I think Ohio State whoops that ass.
I think so too.
I don't think it's a tough game. I think it's.
I'm not saying he's a bad
of their offense compared to a schematically sound defense.
I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm saying that at any other school, he would have been fired. Like, that's
probably with how bad he was in the beginning. Yeah, he would not.
He would have got fired from Utah State, dude.
He wouldn't.
He would have got fired. Oregon. I'm surprised Oregon State.
Indiana would have fired him.
Yeah, he was not good for a long time.
It's Corvallis.
Yeah, right.
You had a no-name defense, because I can't name anyone outside the Wright brothers that played on that defense.
But you're still talking about where they were. Let's talk, because your big issue with Ryan Day, and my issue too, is that Ryan Day has not elevated the program. Correct.
I'll just say Jonathan Smith is an elevator. I think he's going to prove that.
But it took Jonathan Smith 3 years, 4 years. It took him his 4th year for them to become bowl eligible. His 4th year, okay. And even then, he still never won the conference or anything. He's got one double-digit win under his resume, right? So he did raise the profile of Oregon State, but to act like his resume is way better than Ryan Day's, I think is
right.
I'm not saying his resume is better. I'm saying he's a better coach. I would also like to add, he may have not won a conference championship. Oregon State only has one Pac-12 conference championship when they were the Pac-10 in 2000, and outside of that is like 1964.
I don't make the rules. All I'm saying is that here's where the program was, and here's where it was his first year, here's where it was his second year, here's where it was his 3rd year, and here's where it was his 4th year. Ryan Day, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's fine, right? But that's not a big enough difference for me to side with you on this one. I'll side with you on the other 18, but I'm not siding with you there.
All right, next. Prime time.
No.
Yeah, no.
Let's not. I'd
rather have. No, okay. Well,
what I'd rather have Dion, who is a better coach. Ryan Day.
Right. Yeah. Dion brings a lot of eyes to a program, but is he a better coach? Not a chance.
He has Pat Shermer as an offense coordinator.
That's the deal, though, right? When you talk about college. All right, I'll side with you guys. I just think that that's a little more complex, is all I'm saying.
That's a fair point.
All right. Indiana's Kirk Cignetti.
Ooh, yeah. Kirk Cignetti. You want to talk about a team that's going to beat Ohio State in 3 years? It's Indiana.
Oh.
If Indiana can get their own.
The question is will he be there in 3 years?
Oh, no, he's going to be up in Columbus.
Yeah, dude, I wish, bro. Oh my God.
I'll tell you right now, Ohio State is not looking in-house for the next head coaching hire, but they're looking in conference. Cignetti's on that short list.
I could see that. I
think Schiano.
Dude, Cignetti is a dog, dude. A dog, bro.
I think Fick's at the top of that list too.
When you don't have the same amount of transfers, when you don't have the same amount of scholarships, and you're still whooping ass that they have to make a special rule, dude. Cignetti's a baller, dude. He'll beat Ohio State. If Indiana can invest money to where they get their own football facilities like every other goddamn Big Ten school, watch out.
Yes, there's only one out of conference guy I kind of have marked that could possibly go up to Ohio State right now, but it's going to take years because he's still a coordinator, and that's D'Anton Lynn. If they want to establish a strong defense, I mean, if Knowles' defense falls off, of course, but if they want to go with defense in mind, I think they go that route. But instead, I think they stick in conference. I think Cignetti is high on that list.
I would say Cignetti's right there. Yep,
I could see that. Chris Kylman.
but way better than
Chris
Ryan Day.
Kleiman.
Not even
Kleiman.
close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah, I think
Way
that
better.
the problem with Chris Kleiman is, I mean, I think that there's an argument to be made. He's another guy that I don't know if he's ever going to get the hill. You know what I mean? There's just certain guys that just can't get over the hill. We talk about Glenn Mason in Minnesota all the time for this example. Greg Schiano's kind of like that. Rutgers is always going to be okay. They're never going to be good. Right. Chris Kleiman, they're never going to, you know, their best year they got curb stomped by Alabama. That's Chris Kleiman.
It's also Alabama, a team that lost to Tennessee and LSU by combined 4 points.
Just saying.
I'm also just saying. I'm just saying. Four national championships at North Dakota State, 8-5, 8 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins at Kansas. Outside that 1 year, COVID year, they weren't good. But besides that,
all right. You know what? Fine.
All right. Last one on the list.
All right.
John Sumrall for Tulane.
Yeah.
Yep. Way better.
Right. Yeah.
He was at Troy before that and won.
Kicking ass at Troy.
Yeah, with a very hard-nosed, tough offense. I mean, yeah.
Solid defense. Linebacker developer.
Yep. And that's it. That's the list.
All right. Well, we're an hour and 20 minutes into the podcast, and we've said 3 things about the spring game. So great episode, guys. All right, Brock, thanks for should we shut it down, Mike? An hour and 20 minutes is long, dude.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Before my girlfriend slaps me for not joining her for dinner, I gotta head out.
His girlfriend. Hey, I wish I was. Brock, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate
thanks, Brock.
I appreciate you coming on, giving us some insight. You'll have to come on more often. Check out Brock's work on at Ramswire. He's a fellow USA Today brother. Also check out his podcast. What you got going on podcast, White?
Sir,
NBS.
So college football season comes around full swing. We got college football forecast. Me and my co-host Bill Carroll. Josh is a family friend of that show already, so check us out there. I also got my own show, The Hot Seat, where I talk about everything sports, and I got my new show, Off the Dome, with my boy Thomas Brown, where we talk about sports, lifestyle, controversy. Last week, I think we talked 2 weeks ago. I think we talked about like moms' relationships with their sons. So that's the kind of things that we dive into. So if you want a little more variety in your listening, content, check us out over there. And once again, I appreciate you guys having me on. Josh, always a pleasure. Mike, find happy to speak with you kind of in person.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, greatly appreciate it, guys.
Mike, what you got going on, brother?
Absolutely nothing. Still pumping out a bunch of content wire. Wire content on Buckeyes Wire and Fighting Irish Wire, and trying to stay alive here.
No one pumps out more content than Michael Chen. I can guarantee that. I promise you that, Brock.
There's a lot.
You don't even have to click on his stuff, Brock. But at least count it. At least count
it. There's a lot.
Oh, dude, my phone just bing, bing. Michael.
Like over 100 a month.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Keatley 16. Definitely check out my work. I'm trying to get back into scouting, the high school scouting thing. Took a little bit of a break there. Watched some Ian Moore tape. I appreciate Mike for giving me the green light on my Josh Myers comparison to big, large, long offensive lineman who can move pretty well. I would love to see him. I think he can play immediately. Another dude that I'm watching, Peyton Pierce, reminds me of maybe a discount Baron Brownie with his versatility.
Where you just sophomore and senior tape? Then I take it. Senior tape's probably pretty abrupt as well, isn't it?
For Peyton Pierce?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Baron Browning's high school tape was.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, Pierce missed his junior year with an injury. Sophomore year, he was awesome. Everyone talked about how he's potentially the best linebacker in the country.
Oh, he's good, man.
Oh no, I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying just for the fact that he lost his junior season, I think people were a little bit down on him. He did get hurt towards the end of his senior season as well. Excuse me. Which brings up a little bit of injury concern, but if he's healthy and he can stay in the field, then he's a really, really good linebacker.
I think Ian Moore can play this year, and I think Peyton Pierce can play.
Where?
I don't know where. I'm just saying. I think that he's capable of playing if he was forced to, and I think that Peyton Pierce could also.
I mean, you don't put him at tackle. You put him at guard. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got. You can't. He's not
the Josh Myers plan, right? Play him inside first, kick him out the tackle when he's ready.
There was he struggled. He's playing Indiana football, and there was some tape where he struggled with speed in Indiana high school football. So I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Put him inside. You don't have to deal with speed on the outside.
Yeah. But he's got quick enough feet. I think he can work in a phone booth. Very big, very large.
That's why I liked your Josh Myers comp, because Myers started on the interior, and then eventually, when he got good enough to get reps at tackle, they moved him out there. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Well, then he finished. Myers finished his career at center too, which I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
But I don't know. I don't know if Moore's 6'6". That's going to be a harder leap for him. But I think it's possible. I don't know. It'll be interesting. But I do think I think he can play this year if he was forced to. Same with Peyton Pierce. The guy's just very active. He's got great instincts. He's fast. He's big. I think both those guys can play this year if they were forced to. And I don't. In order to not sound biased, I did watch some Bryce West as well, and I do not feel the same way about him. I feel like that guy needs some seasoning before he sees the field.
Ooh.
You disagree with that?
Have you gotten Aaron Scott yet, though?
Oh yeah, no. We talked about Aaron Scott because that was my Derrick Ross comparison. That guy can see the field. That guy can see the field.
Yeah, I think he's gonna see the field.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I would agree with I would agree with the Bryce West. I do think he's got all the intangibles to be really, really good. He just needs Siri. He just needs some more seasoning. He needs a year to get a little bit stronger. He needs to get a little bit stronger. He's got a great frame. He's like 6'2", but I think he's only like 180 pounds. He needs to be close to like 190, 200.
Yeah, and I never know how
really be able to battle.
I never know how tall those guys are too when I'm watching them.
Well, I think you
can definitely tell.
No lie, I think if you look at the spring roster, I think the Ohio State, they get props from the NFL for being very accurate on their heights and weights. So I think if you go to that, like, because they put out their spring roster already, if you go to that will pretty much tell you how big they actually are.
Well, and I like it. I think you're right. He checks all the physical boxes. I think he could play returner too. He's fast. He's very fast, very explosive.
Yeah. I think there's a couple other guys that are going to be in front of him as a returner.
I think so too. I think it'd be fun to see him get his shot.
I'd love to see Brandon Ninus back there.
You would?
I would. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
Downs is obviously going to get some touches back there as well.
Yeah.
Big games. I think you're going to see Downs back there. But I think the old hat as well. What's his name?
Ballard, bro.
Jaden Ballard. There it is.
You hate that guy.
I do. I don't hate him. I know Jaden Ballard's not listening. Just want to clear the air. Jaden, I think you're a great player. I just, with all the other elite skill talent that they have, you're just, he's just not quite at that level.
He just can't wait for you to transfer.
No. I'll root for him if he transfers. I'll root for him, but I think at this point in time, if he hasn't transferred, I don't think he's going to transfer. Although I was wrong on Dallan Hayden on that one. I was definitely wrong on that one.
If what you say is right about, we'll get into it next week. We'll shut down hour and a half long. Follow us on Twitter. Check out our work, Ohio State of Mind, and we are out of here.
Go Bucks.